Well, I see Softpedia already published an interview from just now talking to you guys about what the next
With
jailbreak
him.
will be.
I published what you said.
So I guess everyone's wondering that, will it be for 6.2, will it be for iOS 7? What are you guys' thoughts on this?
I mean, nobody even knows what the next version of from Apple will be. I don't know how you answer a question like that. It's you know, it's the 6.1.3 would be a terrible trick me. It would be a terrible version to target because it was mostly just there to fix the stuff in the jailbreak, right? And you wouldn't want to waste that. I mean, that would be a horrible waste just to do that. But the next version of the software that has something substantial that people will want, the thing is people will flock to that software, and it's a good target for the jailbreak. You don't want to jailbreak a system that few people are even going to want to transition to.
So you're not necessarily waiting for a hardware upgrade?
Well, it depends. If the hardware upgrade was really close to the it depends on what the rumor mills come out with and how truthful close to reality they are. If a hardware release were right after a software release, and if everything were ready for a jailbreak for around that date, we'd certainly wait for the hardware to come out first. If the rumors were reliable. This is all hypothetical. But if you look in the past, if you just look at the past history of the releases, it's always been like that. There's been a few cases where we waited a few weeks. There was one case where we famously said we were going to wait for the next hardware to get released in Europe or something like that, and then GeoHot beat us to the release.
Yeah, so about, doesn't work?
Yeah, so the stream,
Okay. About iOS 7 and if we have something or not. We have some kind of vulnerabilities already. We have played with it.
Yeah, we looked at one last night.
Yeah, last night. So yeah, I mean, we already have some stuff ready. Also, I'm actually working on some browser fuzzing, and I found some interesting stuff as well. So nobody knows what we will do with iOS 7 because yeah, the operating system is not out already. So maybe Apple will come with new features, new security features. Maybe not. Maybe we already have some verbs for it. Okay, we don't know. One thing is sure is that we won't waste our time. Maybe hundreds of hours for 6.1.3. It would be like throwing the vulnerabilities away. It would be done.
But do you have some exploits on the shelf for the new iOS versions?
Yes, this is what I was saying. Already some. We don't have the full stuff, but we have part of it. Maybe already 2 or 3 big interesting vulnerabilities for next operating system.
I mean, we're pretty straightforward on the web and on Twitter. And on Twitter, we're not very, when we make significant steps, we're pretty good about letting people know. I mean, it's a lot of people want to use Twitter as a Q&A thing, but it's really, in our case, it's useful for announcing things, right? So when we, even though we have vulnerabilities now, we haven't really pulled them all together on all at once. When that first happens, if we bother to do it on 6.1.3, you'll see an example of it on Twitter. When it happens on 7.0, if it happens on 7.0, you'll see it on Twitter. We don't, there's no sense in being secretive about when we make milestones. We're sensitive about what we show in the video, but it just helps. It helps, stop the rumors. It's somewhat and sometimes it helps stop the fake sites, but oftentimes it just spurs more fake sites when you say you've got everything ready. So.
When Apple patched some of the stuff that you guys use for your jailbreak in 6.1.3, did they also leave some stuff that's not been fixed, or did they fix everything? If you can say something.
Well, to be honest, we actually did not really focus on 6.1.3 to see what's really patched or what has not been patched. We did not concentrate on that because we have there's no reason to, like Siri said, there's no reason to waste time on that right now, because even if we find something, and even if we might have something right now, it's not sure that it will be usable in the future, but if it will be usable, we would not waste it right now. So.
It's one of those things you sort of go off. There's no systemic approach to this, right? We're not very methodical about following up on what Apple did, right? It's just, I think, there are things in the back of our head that when we first see them, we don't think Apple's ever going to see them until we use them, and some of those are still conceptually there, and it takes a little bit of work to go through and see if it's still there. And odds are it's still going to be there, and odds are you probably just forget it until you really need it again. So we're not real strict. It's not like we foam at the mouth waiting for the release to pick it apart to see exactly what they found, right? It's kind of much more lazy than that.
Yeah. Also, I saw on Twitter a lot of people asking why we don't just give them a downgrade tool, like if we have some way to do it, but we don't have any way to do it. The whole downgrade process is pretty well secured today, and use strong cryptography mechanisms to verify everything. So we don't have this kind of vulnerability today to allow downgrade, and even if we add one, I'm not sure it would be interesting anyway to release a tool right now and burn that particular vulnerability, because anyway it would be fixed by Apple because it would be software. So,
well, yeah, most likely it would be a software vulnerability, and it would only last one firmware version, and it would probably take a lot of effort to develop. And there's only a limited amount of man hours that we want to spend on this kind of thing, so we try to focus on things that would be the most useful to the community, which are jailbreaks and not just tools for vulnerabilities that are very limited in scope. So, yeah, that question comes up a lot on Twitter. So recently.
It's somewhat confusing because there's a increasingly small class of devices where you can do downgrade, and Red Snow does support downgrades on those devices. And people just, if you're just casually reading the blogs and you see that you can use this tool to downgrade, and then you spend your weekend planning for it, and you find out that you really mess things up. But you can't downgrade your iPhone 5 at all, right? It's a little bit confusing because you can do different things. In fact, there's still one device you can buy at Apple today that is, the 3GS, you can still get a refurb in theory that has the old boot ROM on it, which will let you do an untethered jailbreak, forever, regardless of what Apple does. So it really spans the gamut from completely on for life, still being sold, still you can get it refurbed at Apple, to the more modern stuff which you can't do any of that. So it's confusing because the message is confusing.
Aren't you afraid that the impact of that the vulnerability should be discovered, will impact users?
So the downgrade stuff that is out there today,
yeah,
is not fixable.
Well, I mean the big vulnerabilities you discovered that you talked about
Today?
well, not today, but that you discovered that you have on the shelf for the next iOS
Oh,
version?
are you afraid that they'll find them on their own? Yeah, sort of. I mean, they do sometimes. They're very early.
You mean a security problem?
Yeah.
You mean that
On
they
some
pose a
security
security problem to users?
Yeah.
I don't think about that.
Well, shouldn't you think about that?
To be honest, no, because our people who are using the software are making their systems less secure anyway by installing jailbreak.
Well, but of course, users who don't use jailbreaks are vulnerable as well
So,
by the same bugs.
no, I mean, I'm saying that even just most people do not manage their device in such a way that they do the jailbreak in a way that makes it secure. And so most people are opening up their devices. I would not want a jailbreak.
No, but what I was asking about is that when you discover a bug that can be used to jailbreak your device, it can be exploited in other ways as well. So aren't you afraid that the bugs you discovered but haven't disclosed will impact users in a negative way?
I don't think about that. I mean, it doesn't come up. Yeah, I don't really have a good sense really for how many times does Apple get hit by undisclosed, exploits that, they've done an update for. Nobody understands why they've done an update. It was off to patch this one issue. Most of Apple's problems become very public.
Yeah, but these bugs don't, and they can impact users in a negative way. For example, human rights activists in China or in Iran can be hacked. Well, with help of the bugs you discovered but haven't disclosed. So don't you think that is a problem?
We don't have enough information usually to do something to know the big picture there.
Yeah.
What comes to mind though once is there was one time where there was a certificate revocation issue, and you're very likely to get, if you didn't update to the new OS, you were very likely to get scammed with bad certificate.
Yeah.
And someone named Jean at Gen0 made a tweak to make the jailbreak user safe, and he made that tweak made the jailbreak user safe before Apple was able to release an update for the general population.
So that's what as well.
But that's when we knew all the information, right? We knew exactly what was going to be fixed by Apple. We knew that he knew that he could fix it quicker.
But do you think that the bugs you discovered and have on the shelf are serious enough to impact users?
Well, no, right now. So.
It's a problem of, every security researcher, every time you find a bug, you have the question either to report it to the vendor to protect the users, or to keep it for yourself, or to do some business with it, or in our case, to keep it for the jailbreak. So we have to take that particular decision. Who knows who will find what? The sure thing about it is that if we find something, we will try to do our best so that it don't impact the user in a bad way. Because we, you know us, we are kind of secret. We don't reveal stuff. So we do our best to not have any leak of that 0 days. But it's a security concern. Your question is right, and I'm not sure there is a real answer to this. Giving all our 0 days to Apple would mean kill the jailbreak. So we have to take some kind of decision at one time.
Well, I'd also like to point out that a lot of the vulnerabilities that we exploit in jailbreaks are, from a perspective of drive-by downloads, are not really significant vulnerabilities for the public at large. For example, the injection vector that we used this time and the untethered one, I think those are relatively low risk to the public. Obviously, the injection vector cannot be used if you have a passcode lock. There's lots of different conditions on using the injection vector. So the vulnerabilities that interest us do overlap with vulnerabilities that interest people writing malware for iOS, but it's not a complete overlap.
Okay, thank you.
Can you name a price for the latest jailbreak and the vulnerabilities?
A price? What do you mean?
Yes. On the black market, whatever.
I mean, honestly, no, I have no idea what the black market prices are. I mean, I've never talked to anyone in the black market about the pricing for this. No one has ever contacted me about pricing the exploits, so I have little or no idea. You guys probably know more about it than I do. There's certain news articles out there that claim that the prices for vulnerabilities were as high as, what, 250,000, 400,000 or something like that. But I have no personal experience.
We all don't have.
Yeah, no, I don't think any of us has any personal experience that would validate something like that.
But a complete jailbreak is overkill for black market. Black market would be more interested in individual components. And in a way, it's a bit more flexible, right? Because we may have the components that we have may or may not be compatible with components that some other party, the unknown party had. And the broker, and I don't really know how that works, but the broker might be able to be savvy enough to know to pull these things together and pull something out of it. But it's a lot of what we do is the bulk of the work that we care about and that we spend time debugging and make sure it is easy for the user. That's all stuff that the general black hat person wouldn't ever touch.
Yeah, the problem with black market about the thing, it's kind of linked with the previous question about the security concern. If you sell any vulnerability or exploit to the black market, you don't know what they will do with it. So we are not the kind of guys that talk to the black market anyway. So we don't know.
I was talking to another researcher earlier, and he says he gets offers all the time. That's why maybe I thought you get offers all the time.
Yeah. Some random guys on Twitter or anywhere propose us to or say that our work would be maybe $50,000 or something like that. But in fact, we haven't any real offer from a real company or anyone. So yeah, we don't know.
I mean, I think we've been
that's pure speculation, in fact.
I think they probably just stay away from us. I mean, I think we've been so gung-ho about giving away it all in free jailbreaks and stuff. I think they just think we're they don't want to be near us with a 10-foot pole. Because we'll try to figure out what they have and use it in the jailbreak, right? I wouldn't want to go near it. Not because we're super bad or anything, just because, we're going to give it away. We're not going to...
Well, maybe one jailbreak that was marketable was maybe the jailbreak of the Apple TV 2, because it was also sold more or less to people. Is there any scope for you or any interest at all to focus on the Apple TV 3 as well? Don't you think it's...
I'm sure you're aware of the technical reason why it just missed the boat on all this stuff. I mean, all of the cases stuff has used a mechanism that just isn't present in the Apple TV 3, so it's not because we don't like it. I love my Apple TV 3 just the way it is. I use it all the time. There's very little that I want to add to it, but but nevertheless, there is a market for it. People love to have their custom codecs and all that stuff.
I think you're the only one. I don't have an Apple TV at all. Do you have
any version?
I have.
Okay, you have one.
No time.
Do you have one too? Yeah. So I'm the only one without an Apple TV? Well, I don't even have a regular TV.
Yeah, but from a hacker's perspective, I could understand that that it triggers you somehow, because that's the only device that's
still not.
It's still not right. Yeah, it's a little bit of a thorn in the side there, but it's.
Well, I mean, it's not anything that different. All you gotta do is find one piece, and then you can just use everything else on it.
You can borrow mine.
So, oh, okay, well, great. So I don't think it's that challenging from well, it is challenging obviously, but it's not like it's not like it's a significantly different experience than jailbreaking anything else.
The only thing you'd really get with the Apple TV3 specifically, you get that the second core is not enabled right now on the Apple TV3, so you could in theory turn on the second core and crank up the frequency.
Maybe start a
You
fire.
really want to do that.
There's been some talk in the security industry over time that jailbreaks actually encourage users to keep their phones unpatched and vulnerable. Of course, not all jailbreaks use exploits that would be useful to achieve drive-by downloads, but some of them are, and those are dangerous. Is there any possibility that you could like port Apple's patches for those vulnerabilities to the jailbroken phones, but still keep the jailbreak intact? Like,
Somebody should. I mean, we
We
don't have time to do that, but somebody should go off. Somebody could go off and do that.
For any drive-by downloads that we know of, like for example, that's used for a jailbreak, not we actually, but since it's been a while since only Comex has done jailbreak minis in the past. But in the past, for all the jailbreak minis, of course, the vulnerability was patched when the jailbreak was released or shortly thereafter.
Part of the jailbreak fixed the hole.
So yeah, I think if there was a situation where there's something dangerous, then of course someone would definitely backport to Apple's patches. It would take a lot of work though. So I don't know. Yeah.
But there are at least two cases where they did that.
Yeah, I mean on a regular basis, like create a community effort to backport like Apple's patches and distribute them to CBR or whatever.
There aren't a whole lot of people, there's not that many people here, in general. And this is a subset of the people who have ever been involved in jailbreak stuff, but I mean, we all sort of know each other. It's not like there's vast communities of people who are tailoring the jailbreak to,
Would macOS then sound interesting enough as a challenge if Apple ever decides to put a lockdown?
I mean, it seems like they are going that way, right?
Yeah, that's
It's very much going to be an opt-in, opt-out kind of a thing, all right? They're not going to force everyone to be locked down. You can choose to work outside that environment, just not to get all the benefits of being on the inside.
yeah, the source code is available, so it should be easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, technically it should be easier to jailbreak macOS if it happens than iOS because the attack surface is so much bigger.
Yes. In many ways, it's a lot bigger.
I saw on Twitter that Posix Ninja, Joshua Hill, also mentioned that he was close to a jailbreak. I'm wondering, are you guys going to race him, or are you working together still? How's that going to work?
Yeah. In fact, we have absolutely no clue about what Joshua Hill has or not. At HITB, he presented his work on the iMood. It's raw stuff involving the file system, which would anyway require other set of vulnerabilities to be injected. A lot of them. So I don't know, in fact, what he has, and if he really plans to work on a jailbreak tool alone. Yeah, sounds
Interesting.
I should say it takes a village, and one person is not a village, so
It is if you're Comex.
Comex is the only village you know. It's the Comexville.
And has anyone been able to dump a recent version of boot ROM?
Nope.
No, no progress.
Any more questions?
Last year when we spoke, some of you guys said you wouldn't turn down a job offer from Apple. Have you received any job offers from Apple since?
And it feels why I'm not you at it.
One by one.
Yeah, well,
Which one? Why not?
last year there was the Java convention in San Francisco, and I used and we actually had some Apple guys attending the conference, and at the day of the conference itself, me personally wasn't able to talk to the guys because I was still finishing my presentation. But when I was visiting the campus in Cupertino, I in fact got the chance to talk to some Apple guys, and well, they are quite interested to acquire people from us, but it's not like they directly say, "Hey, come work with us." So that's in fact what happened. So they try to like, or they seem to try to get us to ask Apple if we want to work for them or something like that. But they didn't ask, at least me, they did not ask me directly. So I don't know about your experience, but
Well, so, I mean, I'm an engineer, and I know engineers at Apple. It's you know, just personally, Apple's just too big of a company for me to work at. The companies that I've worked at my whole life have just been much smaller than that. And this is sort of the environment I like to be in.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. At one point, you know, I talked to Apple about maybe working with them, but you know, for sort of complicated personal reasons, and ended up following through on that. But that was many years ago. So
Yeah, I had the same problem that Nikia. So I talked with some managers from Apple, and we exchanged some emails. Then they wanted me to do some FaceTime with them from France and stuff like this, and I was too busy working on my no, not jailbreak. Company. I was planning to make a company, and this is the case today because I work as an independent. So it was maybe not the right time, not the right moment, but I already said that, and yeah, I'm really interested in working with Apple in some way.
But you won't use FaceTime, they have to Skype you, right?
Yeah,
Or open source.
not Skype me, maybe just chat or something like that. You know.
Skype has a text chat feature.
No more questions at this point?
One more question.
Okay.
Last year, you guys sat here as the Chronic Dev team, basically, and maybe the iOS Dream team. And now it's Evad3rs. Is this the name you're going to carry towards well, your next jailbreak project?
yeah, our next jailbreak project. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
How to answer that question? I mean, but by the past, we were with the Chronic Dev team. Yeah,
So most of us, I mean, even at last year's one,
Yeah.
David
was never with the Chronic Dev team, nor Mercenaries. So, yeah, it depends on history facts, and sometimes bad things happen, and something needs to be break somehow. So yeah, who knows what will happen in the future? But right now, we can say that yes, we will keep that word, and we want to work together for a long time. But yeah, who knows?
The goal is not to change the name every time. And even though we do have the 0 in the name, I mean, that was just more to be able to Google for it easily. You know, the numbers in the name thing is horrible. It's hard to remember. But,
So you're not recruiting, right?
we're not. Never not. I mean, it's always been the case for people who are interested enough to to do the stuff we do, they always find us in IRC and they engage you and they figure out how to, it's sort of a very, there's no process to being involved, it's just you end up being involved. You end up always, you know, it turned out anyone who's ever been involved in the scene has always used IRC beforehand. It's like, I've never seen a non-IRC jailbreaker for some reason. It's sort of a, you know, sort of find each other kind of thing.
Yeah, it just works.
All right. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time.